Welcome to the Apollo Papyrus podcast.
Hello, Apollo Aaron. I am glad to be here.
Feel free to introduce yourself to our listeners.
Well, I'm Paul Winger. I live in Tucson, Arizona. I wrote a couple of books. The one that you're referring to is Paradigm Revolution Sign Me Up. And I'm a bit of a political geek, retired. And anything else you'd like to know?
Okay, how did you get the nickname Political Paul? Was that a nickname that you applied to yourself, or was it given to you by other people?
It was given to me by other people. It's a cute, quick story. I walked into office up in D.C. once, and there was Congressman Mo Udall. Good man. He goes, "Uh-oh, there's Political Paul," and just walked in on him. And by the time, in that day, believe it or not, I flew back to Tucson, and it was already here by the time I got here.
Your political nonfiction book is titled Paradigm Revolution Sign Me Up.
Yes.
Without spoiling too much about that book, what is it about?
I put a whole bunch of complaints that I think everybody has. And then I build up saying, you're going to continue to have these problems in the entire nation, our whole country, until you change the Constitution. And I know that everybody wants to change the Constitution. Everybody wants some change. Everybody wants things to be just right. And I'm saying, you can't have somebody do that for you. You have to do it yourself. Yes, it will take effort. Yes, you have to get involved. But they say we got a republic, and a republic is 100% dependent on democracy, and democracy is 100% dependent on you being involved. So if things are happening that you don't like, chances are it's a result of inaction. And yes, we got problems with everything around. But honestly, if you take a look at it, they're very easily settled. People saying, oh no, now, oh no, AI is too complex. Oh no, Gaza, Ukraine, they're too complex. No, they're not. These are easy things. So, book one, which is the paradigm, I talk about what I call the big five. Number one, honesty. Number two, truth. Number three, compassion. Number four, love. Number five, responsibility. That makes a fist, and that's penalty. But penalty really isn't one of the five. It's just that that's a natural thing that happens when you got a rule. You got a speeding ticket, you're going to have to pay. That kind of thing. On top of it, in 1790 was the last state, Rhode Island, to ratify our Constitution. I'm saying what was going on then and now are two completely different things. I'll give you some examples if you like.
Go ahead.
You and I can read. Better yet, we can comprehend. In 1790, you know where that name soapbox came from, right?
Where did it come from?
Somebody would just find a soapbox, stand on it, and start reading the newspaper, and people would gather around, ask questions and things because they couldn't read.
Ah,
So, someone on a soapbox, and they'll talk forever if you let them. And so, people just left, and person standing there or on the soapbox would say, well, day's over now. So, I would say, yeah, there's a lot. And I am very disturbed over we stopped teaching our Constitution in schools more than 20 years ago.
also, I should clarify for our listeners, Rhode Island was the last of the original 13 states to ratify the Constitution.
No problem. You're right. You're absolutely correct. The last state to ratify was Rhode Island. The first, I believe, was Delaware.
Delaware, yes. uh, Now, your book, uh, I'll get to your other book here after a couple more questions about
Sure.
this paradigm revolution book. But how would this paradigm revolution you call for work?
Number one, non-violent. That is a biggie. As soon as people start being violent, you lose your message. And Honestly, we've had enough violence in this country. We don't need any more. And that's not the way to get your point across. It's just like watching third graders fight on the playground. The only thing the bully accomplished beating up the other kid is show who's tougher in a fist fight. The issue, what got them there to begin with, was never settled, was never addressed. And that's what'll happen if you want to be violent. So don't do that. And everybody will concentrate, including you and I, will concentrate on, oh no, they're violent. What's the issue? That's secondary to someone being violent. So that's number one. Revolution, that is every one of us that can vote in this entire nation is in charge. It's not the government in charge. See, you, Aaron, have freedom. We have a free society. Not once in that entire Constitution does it say government is free. Where do they have the discretion to not do what we tell them to? I mean, you can go right through the Constitution, step by step, paragraph by paragraph, just like I did, sentence by sentence, just like I did. And if you look at it, as I was a union president for a lot of years, and if you start reading that, every sentence you're going to be asking who, what, when, where, how, why, the whole nine yards. And, you know, I could be sitting in a room full of shop stewards for a regular steward meeting, type up one issue to file a grievance on, which would be a violation of the Constitution, hand it out to all 50 or so, and have leftover. So, yeah, we need to teach our Constitution in schools, and these people need to start following it. You want an example?
I'll ask the next question. Why do you believe that teaching the U.S. Constitution in the K through 12 school system in this country and civics education in general is important?
Holy moly's. Let me give you a really good example. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I tease about her all the time. My nickname is Looney Tunes until the wife comes down the hall and said, every time I see her, I think of that Wizard of Oz, if I only had a brain song. So she puts out a tweet that says Paul Revere signed the Declaration of Independence, along with a bunch of other names. No! I even made a joke out of it because I think that Gandalf and Merlin are the same person and couldn't find them signatures. So I look for the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. They ain't there either. How could you expect somebody in Congress that it is a reasonable expectation? It's reasonable that these people know what they're doing, and she done. So I wonder how much the rest of the country or those people in CD 14 in Georgia realize how much the rest of the country is laughing at them. That's the best you got? Ha! Did that
I
make sense?
often like to joke that Marjorie Taylor Greene is right less often than a stop clock.
Pretty good one. Yeah, she is right less often. You're right. You're correct. And you just watch her, and there was another guy named Higgins, there was another guy named Clay, and these people are quoting the Constitution. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. Where did they read that? Just to make sure, I open up, I got about six of them right within arm's reach right now. And I better read to make sure. Oh, yep, they botched that one. So these are people that are telling the whole nation that they know what they're talking about, and they don't. And that's a result of our inaction.
Your book, Paradigm Revolution, Sign Me Up, was published during the closing stages of last year's presidential election. In fact, not too long before election day that year, which was quite interesting timing. In your opinion, is the paradigm revolution you call for even more needed now than it was before the November 2024 elections?
To answer your question, absolutely yes. I actually started, I'll tell you something, not too many people know. I started writing The Revolution. I hadn't figured out the name, and I did that Trump's first term. As a matter of fact, I actually started writing it when he was politicking between 2015, 2016 is when I kind of started poking around with it. I have a great disdain for liars, and I am convinced that you can't get anything you want from a lie. A lie is always used to manipulate people. The truth isn't. The truth, you just react accordingly. But a lie, 100% of the time, is used to manipulate you. And I got upset. So I started writing, and next thing you know, it ended up two books. The reason why I said two books instead of having one 1,000 pages thick plus, no one's going to read that. So if I want to make an impact, you better make it two books. So Paradigm's the first one, Nonviolence the second one. I looking for a publisher. I'm waiting on a response from Beacon right now.
Okay. Yeah. Now, tell us more about that second book without spoiling too much of it. What is it called? What is it about?
Okay, nonviolent. If you go through all the moving papers and you pick out some pretty good sizable words, united. And I call it the super five, okay? Number one is united. Number two is freedom. Number three is liberty. Number four is democracy. And very last one is equal. That's how you design a country with those thoughts in mind. You wanted self determination. That's the whole idea behind that revolution. And they were right. They were absolutely right. You know, we want equal. I look at socialism just a little bit different than other people do. They think it is a result of birth. Well, yeah, you're kind of right there on that. I'm thinking royalty, nobility. But when you put right down to it, why that equal is there in all the books and research that I did, they have a different set of rules. So when the Supreme Court gave immunity, that day is when I said, that's it. I have complained about them for years. From now on, they're not the Supreme Court, they're the King's Court. Right about that same time, someone kicked out an article saying 35% support in the nation over the Supreme Court. I'm the one that can't figure out why it ain't 3.5%. That is a violation of everything we stand for. When the Constitution actually wrote immunity for those in the legislative branch, we're not following that either. They get immunity 24/7, and they shouldn't. Only when it's a real big press issue, somebody will do something about it. So answer me this one, Aaron, or a thought process for you. Why don't we elect our attorneys general to federal?
That's interesting. I live in Illinois where our state attorney general is elected, and the vast majority of states have a directly elected state level prosecutor. Yet the federal government, the only uh, executive branch officials that are elected are the president and the vice president, and that's through the electoral college on a joint ticket.
You're absolutely right, Aaron. You are. And I'll give you some more ammo. I counted them up many times. 43 states elect their attorneys general. Why do you think that is? Because they don't want the governor to be able to tell the attorneys general, ignore that law. As a matter of fact, nowhere in the Constitution allows the president to say, ignore that law. That's a violation of the Constitution from the beginning. And we did mention Delaware. They don't elect their attorneys general. Now, let's go to the attorneys general just quickly. I think Garland was an empty shirt. He may have been a good Supreme Court justice, I don't know, but he wasn't worth a hoot as an attorney's general. And this Pam Bondi is the worst there ever was. And so if Trump can tell the attorneys general not to release the Epstein files or hide them or destroy them or something, that's just what's going to happen. So why do we put a system in a place where we, the people who's supposed to be in charge, aren't in charge? Good question.
I'm going to pivot back to your Paradigm Revolution book for the next question. Fulton Books published that book. Is Fulton an independent press, a hybrid publisher, or a traditional book publisher?
They're in between. I didn't even know what a vanity publisher was. Vanity, as far as I was concerned, was the name of a magazine you saw in a shopping, grocery store. Um, wow, what a bunch of ripoffs. Those vanity publishers, little warning for everybody, research those publishers really good. See, I don't have a big name. A lot of people don't know me from Adam. So I thought I was making a really good decision. I guess I didn't. So, or they're just trying to take advantage of you, and that's true also. So, yeah, there's people in the publishing industry that think that that book, I think my books will change the world. But every author says that. So honestly, it's not a regional cookbook. You cannot just sit there. Here's a good one for you, Aaron. You know what time I signed? The date I signed that contract with Fulton was May 2023. They're not done with the contract yet.
One final question to finish this interview. What is the best advice you could offer to citizens here in the United States who want to be more engaged in the civic and political process?
Do it. I know that seems to be simplistic, but get on the internet, look in the newspaper, do whatever you need to do to find out something that interests you. If you think that, oh, I'm just one person and my presence, vote, whatever doesn't mean much, wrong. It means the world. And yeah, you may not get your way. I may not get my way. You may not get your way on any election. But you know, someone I ran into somebody, made an enemy that day, and they were complaining about something. And I says, well, didn't you vote? I mean, how did you vote? And they go, oh, I don't vote. I'm not even registered. Here it comes. Shut up. You don't even want input. Shut up. You don't get to complain anymore. I went off a little bit more. And there was some foul language thrown in there too.
Paul, it was wonderful interviewing you, and I thank you for appearing on the Apollo Papyrus podcast.
Thank you. Anytime. Anytime. You did good.
My interview with political nonfiction author Paul Winger was recorded in July of 2025 when Marjorie Taylor Greene was a U.S. representative. Taylor Greene resigned from office between the recording of the interview and the uploading of this episode. This podcast episode is intended for the private listening of our audience. Any reuse or retransmission of this podcast episode without the express written consent of the podcast host is prohibited except under fair use guidelines. Royalty-free music and sound effects obtained from https://www.zapsplat.com.